LDFA has been established. It was established about a month or two ago. The district that the authority will have jurisdiction in is the entire city of Romulus. Okay, so right now we can't operate Taylor. Within the city of Romulus, we are only going to be capturing those tax mills on the parcel where Amazon is located. And on a project-by-project basis, Romulus currently only can utilize the LDFA if they want to collect these tax mills for public infrastructure projects. The reason we focused on Romulus is because the creation and utilization of this vehicle is quite complex. It's taken 5 months to do, and we had to do it as quickly as possible to satisfy Amazon's concerns. So once we take the final step, which will be done on October 25th, is that next week or the week after? We're going to circle back with all of the communities, Taylor included, and expand the district that the Aerotropolis LDFA has jurisdiction in, to include all 5 communities, not just the city of Romulus, if you'll have us. Again, establishing it doesn't really mean anything in and of itself. It's like buying a car. If you leave it sit in your driveway, never drive it, it's just there. But then the city of Taylor, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, if you needed to, could tap the Aerotropolis LDFA to help capture tax mills on development in Taylor and utilize that increment revenue to fund public infrastructure projects in the city. Again, it's not a save-all, but it's something that is otherwise inaccessible unless you're part of the Aerotropolis or one of the other 6 next Michigan development corporations across the state. The big project that we've been spending a lot of our time on over the past 3 or 4 months, it turned out to be a much bigger project than I thought it would be. So we are commissioned to market the opportunities in the Aerotropolis region. Very tough to do that, very tough to sell your product if you don't know what your product is. And we really didn't have any inherent knowledge as to what land was really available. We talked about having a lot of land, but we didn't know how much land was really available. So we started, we kind of categorized it in 3 different buckets, but we started by analyzing every parcel of property in all 5 communities that were 25 acres or above, on the market, zoned industrial or commercial. And then the real key is not just identifying those parcels, but then analyzing what the infrastructure was at each site. So analyzing if there's a wetland, if there is a floodplain, if there's electric at the curb, if there's rail, is it cleared? All of these different components that are fairly commonplace when companies start asking about sites. We can now respond in the matter of a few minutes when companies ask us about what do you have available, as long as it's 25 acres plus. We now have that information, and it will be on our website next week. The next step is to go from the next bucket is 10 acres to 24 acres, and then 5 acres to 10 acres. We're doing it in three buckets. I'll be honest with you. The opportunity in Taylor is not all that great above 10 acres. Of the 25 acre plus sites, there's 39 currently on the market, only 3 of them are in Taylor. Wicken Holland, Northline and Inkster, and Beach Daly and Northline. You might know those sites. In the 10 to 24 acre bucket, there's 71 sites total, only 5 of them are in Taylor. The real opportunity for Taylor is 5 to 9 acres. There's 54 sites. Again, these are on the market, zoned industrial or commercial. 54 sites total in the Aerotropolis. 13 are in Taylor, roughly 20%. So the opportunity for Taylor is going to be more in that, what I'll call 50 to 100,000 square foot expansion. Probably not going to be in the market for the Foxconn projects that you've heard a lot about when they're talking about building 5 million square feet. There's just not enough space here. For good reason. You are definitely by far the more developed community of the 5 communities we represent. You just don't have as much spare land as, say, Huron Township, for example. But there's a lot of opportunity in that 50 to 100,000 square foot expansion category. 2 last things, and I'll be quick. The state support, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, have never really had the support of the MEDC We met with them in April, followed up many times over the summer, submitted a proposal in late June or early July. We don't have the contract in hand yet, but a scope of work has been approved. Their legal team is reviewing the contract, and we expect to have a 3-year commitment from the MEDC within a matter of weeks. And what that's going to do is allow us to implement a proactive business attraction program. I spoke a minute ago about the infrastructure, or lack thereof, being a drag on the Aerotropolis over the years. The other piece of it, quite frankly, is the Aerotropolis has never been funded correctly. The money that we bring in currently is strictly from the communities and the counties. And candidly, that pays our salaries, that pays our rent, that pays our vendor contracts. We pay incredible amount of money on legal services, marketing, accounting, human resources, and at the end of the day, there's just not a lot of money left over to actually go out into the market and speak to communities or companies about the opportunities that are available in your respective communities. The funding that we're going to receive from the state of Michigan is going to allow us to do that. It's going to exponentially increase our business development funding, so we will be much more active in the market going forward. The last piece is more of an internal matter, but it's honestly the matter that really brought me here today and will bring me here again, I think, next month, George. The interlocal agreement that the city of Taylor signed with all of the other communities and Washtenaw-Wayne County is old. It's almost 10 years old. It's outdated. It still lists our address as being located at the Guardian Building. There's some administrative things in there. But it's somewhat restrictive in allowing us to solicit private sector investment. And going forward, we need to be a true public-private partnership. And we are not that right now. We have 10 public partners and we have 1 private partner, DTE, and that needs to change. The way the interlocal agreement is currently written, it makes it very tough to go out and solicit private sector investment. So we're making some changes to that document that will allow us to do that, to fundraise, basically, and not rely on the MEDC and the state support for the rest of our existence. The MEDC is providing an upfront source of capital. Long-term, the funding of the Aerotropolis will continue to come from the communities, certainly, but also the private sector. The board of directors and the executive committee have approved the changes to the interlocal agreement, but per the interlocal agreement, the elected bodies of each community have to approve it. So just because George and the mayor have signed off on it, that provides a blessing, but technically you have to approve it. So next month, I believe, I'll be coming back to a city commission meeting with a summary of the changes to the existing document. You'll obviously receive it beforehand, and we will ask you to approve the amendments to our governing document. I think I'm taking a little bit longer than I had, so I'm going to cut to the chase here. 15-month preview. Really 2 strategic priorities. Solicitation of private sector investment, we've already talked about that, and the implementation of a proactive business attraction program. And I do stress the word proactive. The Aerotropolis has been somewhat reactive in the past. We've been there to answer the phone and help a community if and when they needed it, but the real value, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, will be when we as an entity can start bringing projects to you that wouldn't have otherwise known Taylor was on the map, when we can start bringing projects to you and investment to you. So we will start attending trade shows at a much more aggressive pace. We will be engaging with foreign chambers of commerce and foreign trade organizations, hosting business delegations that visit the region, continuing to engage with the local brokers and developers on the projects that they're working and how we might add value. We will continue to focus on transportation, distribution, and logistics, but we will also expand our focus on automotive manufacturing and R&D, as well as next-gen mobility, with ACM being in the Aerotropolis region. Again, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Our efforts will be focused on direct corporate outreach. That's good old-fashioned pounding the pavement sales, talking to companies face-to-face, whether it be at a trade show or over LinkedIn. We'll also engage the site selector community. I, for one, don't think that's as effective as talking to the companies themselves, but roughly 60% of expansion projects nowadays involve a consultant or site selector of some kind, so we can't ignore that target group. And then helping to facilitate large-scale real estate development. We are not a real estate development organization, but we can help facilitate out-of-town developers, whether it be, from Boston or Denver, and help connect them with opportunities in the local market that ultimately recruit the end users, the companies themselves.